y'all. It is Thursday. It is another episode of the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode 190, and we've got a great show for you today. Following through with what we've done for the last few weeks, this is the best of series, the best thermal scopes for 2021, and to help introduce them all and get all the show straight and all of that fun stuff, we got Mr. Jason Robertson, owner of Outdoor Legacy Gear. Hey, good evening tonight, Jason. How's it going?
Well, it's all going good. It is going good. I tell you what, these shows, every time I think we're about done, I look at the schedule. I'm like, there is more of these best of shows coming, and I really like them. The feedback has been really good on them. People always enjoy them, and so we like doing them. It is fun. It's cool to get to go over all the different scopes and kind of talk about them and rank them. So I am glad to be here doing another one. And Hans, this is going to be the week of Christmas. I know this show's coming out on Thursday. Christmas is Saturday, so maybe some of y'all are listening to this while you're driving to Grandma's house. So Merry Christmas.
So today when we're taping this show, the week of Christmas, and I'm going to tell you, that has not slowed any of you guys down, and girls, ladies, calling in the office looking for night vision thermal scopes. But if you are interested and you need some purchasing advice, you can always contact me or Jason. 877-350-1818. OutdoorLegacyGear.com is the website, and we are on the phones all day, every day. And thank y'all. It's been a busy last couple of weeks, and I have talked to a lot of wives out there that are looking for
me too.
Getting some. So we might have some listeners out there that are getting some extra special gifts under the tree, because a lot of them have called and said, "Hey, my husband watches y'all on the Late Night Vision Show, and he's been looking at this scope. He has no idea what I'm getting him." But I think some guys are going to get some pretty awesome gifts, and they got some pretty awesome wives, just like you and I have got some awesome wives that would not attempt to buy a scope, and that's okay.
So,
but
but I may want to trade mine in on some of these newer models that have got my wife has never bought me a thermal scope.
So if you're one of our listeners out there and you're getting a scope for Christmas, you're welcome, because your wives called and we helped them out. We set them straight. Right. We make sure we got you the right one. So we appreciate that.
I'm going to tell you this too. If your wife knows enough to call Hans and I at Outdoor Legacy and has the phone number and says something about, I don't know, and looking for a thermal scope and something about a podcast, let me tell you something. You're leaving some big breadcrumbs around there. I mean, I know you were like leaving the computer pulled up on the Outdoor Legacy website, the iPad laying around. I know what's going on, because these ladies definitely have been getting some hints. So anyway, good on you guys for sending those ladies our way. But anyway, it is going to be a good Christmas, and I think there's going to be a lot of thermal and night vision underneath the tree this year.
So we are running down tonight is the best thermal scopes under $6,000, y'all. We've already done the best entry-level scope, best under, the 4,000, 5,000. We're up at 6,000 now. We're working our way up into the high end, and we've got a great show. We do not have a lot of contenders, which is a change, because it seems like we've had quite a few to fight through. We've only got 2 on the boards today, but so the actual best of award is going to go pretty quick, and hang on after that. After we present the award, I'm going to talk about my buck that I shot this year, 2021 buck. A lot of people have been asking about it, because I started the story and I never finished it. So I've had guys that have called me that have said, "Hey, asking questions about scope, and they're like, 'Hey, before you go, hey, what happened? I heard the story about the buck. So what's going on?'" So I've had to go through the story a little bit. I'm going to tell you, it's not like this, a suspense. It's not
that exciting.
No, I'll just tell you about my buck. And I'll show a picture of it too. I'll flash it up on the screen for all of y'all.
Man's got to have some time to brag about killing a
exactly.
Big
so here we go. Yeah. Best thermal scopes under 6,000.
One thing, folks, we should have mentioned this earlier. We will have some quick links in here. If you've already, waded through the last 4 minutes of Hans and I talking about, Christmas, and you want to get right to the good stuff, and you don't care about hearing about the 2 scopes and what we're going to be talking about, you just want to know which one wins or whatever, there's going to be some quick links. Go to the description on YouTube, click the drop down there, and you'll see those links right there. So, all right, let's get this.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all sat
started.
through the last 4 minutes, Emmy Award winning, or probably should have been Emmy Award winning late night business show.
Yeah,
exactly. That great commentary. All right, here we go. We got the two contenders.
All right, here we go.
I'll go ahead and read them off. Yeah, I'll go ahead and read them off because I got them right
what
here.
Is, man, he's taking my job. And
More
I'm not
me.
having anything to
More
do.
me. More me. All right, Pulsar Trail 2 XP50 LRF with a 2-power base magnification. Price on that's $5,999. That's contender number 1. And our last contender, the Infiray RICO MK1 640 RH50. And that price on that's $5,999. That's a base magnification of 3 power. So those are our two contenders, the RICO 640, which we shorten it and condense it down the name, and the Pulsar Trail 2 XP50 LRF. Let's talk a little bit about both these scopes, Jason. I know we got a lot to say.
I want to add one thing here real quick. This category originally was going to have 3 scopes in it. I was going to have the Pulsar Thermion XG50. It was in there last year.
It was, yeah.
It was the winner in this category last year. But it actually, just recently in the last few weeks, the price dropped $1,000 on that, and it went down into last week's category, which was the best thermal scopes under $5,000. So the Thermion XG50 from Pulsar is now $49.99. So it kind of threw a monkey wrench in our plans with dropping that out. It really did make this small. But at the same time, I really, Hans and I talked about it. We didn't feel like we could roll these 2 scopes in with all those other scopes under 5,000. It just gets to be too big of a category. And, these are really good scopes, and I think they deserve, both of them are super popular, super good scopes. They do deserve a little more airtime. They are in a different price range. So again, that's why we wanted to talk about them here. Mm-hmm. If you call us and we're talking about scopes, these scopes might get thrown in to that category of under 5,000 because they're going to match up with a lot of those scopes, well, resolution, magnification wise. But at the same time, I was talking to a guy on the phone today, and he said, hey man, my budget's really going to tap out at about $5,000. So we didn't even bring these 2 scopes up. They never got mentioned. So they really are in this other price range. So I think they do deserve a separate category. So with that said, let's talk about first this Pulsar Trail 2 XP50 LRF, laser rangefinder. So this makes this a difficult thing. We always talk about how it's hard to compare a scope with a laser rangefinder to one that doesn't. And we'll get into talking about some laser rangefinders with the Infiray RICO in a second. But Trail 2 XP50, it's again 2-power base mag. This scope was known originally as the Pulsar Trail XP50 before the LRF came. It had a 1.6 power way back then. It was the hog hunter's dream. And even now, still super popular with hog hunters. But let's talk about this, Hans. One thing that gets confusing when we're talking to customers about the scope is that it's got a laser rangefinder. It's 640 high resolution, great image quality. Everybody wants to buy it, and they want to buy it as a Coyote scope because it's got the laser rangefinder. What do you think about that? I mean, obviously it can work. There's guys doing it, but what do you think? I mean, obviously this is going to get into our conversation when we pick our winners here in a minute, but what do you think this scope's really going to shine for?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this in the past, and that scope being a 2-power with a laser rangefinder, it's almost like it's mix match or something like that, where it does. A lot of people think of it as a coyote hunting scope. The 2-power says otherwise. 2-power, most coyote hunters want to be, in that 3-power range, sometimes a little bit higher. The laser rangefinder is a great tool, and a lot of people ask, and we can get into that discussion, and we have, but we can get into it another time. Is a laser rangefinder a tool that you actually need, or is it just something that would be a nice feature to have? But yes, you can coyote hunt with a 2-power base magnification unit. I do it quite a bit. We talked about last week's show, best scope under $5,000. our choice was the Thermion 2 XP50, which is a 2 power to 16 power. I hog hunt with that all the time. And what makes the Pulsar nice, they're not the only scope brand that has this, but I will say their optic makes this feature a lot easier to use, and that's picture-in-picture. So having the picture-in-picture feature on that does help with coyote hunting. But, you put a 2-power scope, I mean, to me, it's hard not to lump it in with all of the other hog hunting scopes. Even though it's got a laser rangefinder, I think that 2-power really hinders a lot of people. You think about coyote. I'm talking to a lot of fox hunters these days. In Maryland, I guess Maryland's like the epicenter for fox hunting, because I've been getting a bunch of phone calls. But a fox or a coyote, man, those are small targets. And you start trying to sling a bullet out to 100 yards on a coyote or a fox,
100 or 200 or 300.
Any additional base magnification that you get is going to be more of an advantage for you. So 2-power, a little low. I mean, not typically what coyote hunters want. I think if a coyote hunter is choosing that, it's because of the laser rangefinder and because it's at such a good price. $5,900 with the laser rangefinder.
All right, I'm going to make a comment here, and I'm not Hans. He dreads this when I do this because I go down these rabbit trails. Yeah. But we'll have a show. We'll talk about this later.
You're destined to cut out my deer hunting story. I'm telling you.
I'm trying. I'm trying to make this show go long. It's not that great of a story, folks.
My story is going to get cut because Jason's rabbit trail story. Go ahead, y'all.
This is not called the late deer hunting show.
I know,
it's the
but there's a huge demand out there.
on.
I've had 3 people comment on it, so there's huge demand for my deer
I heard
story.
You're really popular in Japan, but anyway. So what I was going to say is it is worth mentioning, and again, this is the rabbit trail on magnification, and we'll talk about this more. We have talked about it more, but you take this 2-power on the XP50, and guys will tell me, well, I'll just zoom it up. It's 640 high resolution. That's true. So you zoom it up. Your resolution goes to 320 by 240, and you're at 4-power. Well, here's something that guys don't think about. You take a scope like, let's just look here at this RICO MK1640. It's 3-power. When you zoom it up, and you go with 2 and 3 is not a big difference. It actually is significant. But when you zoom this scope up, you go from 3 to 6. And it's just simple math, but a lot of people don't think of it. It's like, okay, I zoomed up the XP50, I'm at 4. I zoomed up the RICO, I'm at 6.
Right.
That's a big difference when you're talking about trying to make that shot count at longer ranges. Now,
and considering the fact that, and adding to that is when you do magnify it once, you're cutting your resolution in half. So, with the
half
XP50,
your image quality.
You're at the XP50 at 4-power, you're at 320. Well, with the 3-power, you're at 320 at 6-power. That's where the huge advantage comes into place.
I agree. Now, I want to say this. You take guys that hunt like I do, which I say like Hans used to do. Hans hunts a lot more coyotes now.
I do. I think I've shot all the hogs around me. So
I was literally thinking today, like I'm gonna have to break out my collar again because I think I'm gonna have to start calling coyotes too because I hadn't seen any hogs. But shooting these hogs, personally, I like 2-power, and I'll say this, guys. Hans and I we're known for this. We get up stupid close on hogs. I mean, if we can do it, we'll do it. I mean, Hans and I hunt a lot alike, and I've been with him when we hunt together, and we agree. Like, think we should get closer? Yeah, let's get closer. Let's go. And we get to that point where it's like you're gambling. Like one more step, and they're probably going to run off. But that's the thrill. That's part of it for us is just getting up there on top of them. So I understand. Not everybody's doing that. 3-power works fine for a lot of hog hunters. But I really, really prefer, if you gave me the choice of these 2 scopes as a hog hunter, I'm giving away all of our I guess I need to stop because I'm going to give away all of our picks down here. But anyway, I really do like the scope, the XP50. I want to point out a couple things to it before we go to the RICO and pick some of the highlights of that. The Trail series scopes use a Pulsar proprietary battery pack called an IPS-7. That battery is a 10, 11 hour plus, even longer battery that comes on the scope. If you want a replacement, they're $99. It's very cheap. It's very affordable. And it is the longest lasting removable proprietary battery pack on the market, except for the Pulsar IPS-14 battery that most southern guys don't use, but our northern buddies that are hunting in this super cold weather, that battery is like a 20-plus hour battery. It's only like $130. That is an insane amount of battery life. So, point I'm making, I just want to say that, if there's one thing the Trail wins at easily over every other scope on the market, and that is removable, rechargeable battery life.
Absolutely.
And at a price that's cheap per hour.
Yeah.
So really, really good battery life. We like the Trail. We like everything else about it. Good image quality. A lot of features when it comes to reticle options. It has more reticles, Pulsar does, than any other scopes on the market. More color options for your reticles, lots of color palette options. So anyway, a lot to like about the scope.
Yeah. So our other contender, the Infiray RICO MK1640. Let's talk a little bit about that. That is a 3-power base magnification. There's some similarities. There's some differences on here, but at the exact same price. So these two scopes being exact same in that regard. So this is another one of those scopes that, it's a 3-power base. So it is, I think, a little bit more attractive to coyote hunters. Again, with most of them wanting to at least start at 3-power. It records video and audio. It has a removable, rechargeable battery. Lasts a pretty good long time. It has a laser rangefinder add-on feature, which is unique in the market. To be able to have a laser rangefinder that is a plug-and-play unit. We talked about it before on the show. It is something that iRay USA was running a deal on. If you bought that MK1640, they were running a special on that, which to much people's dismay is long gone and is expired. But anyway, for an additional $800, you can get the plug-and-play laser rangefinder. So there's a lot of people out there that are buying the scope and then calling back a little bit later and they're saying, you know what, I think I'd like to get the laser rangefinder now. And to be able to have that option, I hope that becomes more accessible or more common in the future, where you have an optic that you could easily add a laser rangefinder, which is a very cool feature to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, to me, a big deal about being able to add the laser rangefinder is manufacturers, if y'all are listening to this show, I request that you pay attention to what Infiray is doing here. And here's the reason. We're not flooding the market and confusing customers more by adding more optics. We're taking the RICO and saying, hey, you a hog hunter, you don't need a laser rangefinder because you're shooting everything under 150 yards. Yeah. Here's a scope for you. Man, it's great for that. Oh, wait a minute. You're a coyote hunter and you may be shooting out there at 250, 300 and you need a laser rangefinder. Here's the same scope. Add one on it.
Yeah.
We got one scope that can do dual purpose.
Yeah.
And that is a huge thing. The more and more optics we get on the market, the more it confuses people, the more, hey, it's job security for us. We get to review more scopes. So we're glad in that way, but it does confuse people. And what this allows is it also allows the guy who goes, wait a minute, I do both. So I don't need the laser rangefinder all the time, but then I got it on there and I don't really need it. Well, hey, take it off. That's the nice thing about this they call it an ILR. Mm-hmm. This ILR for this Infiray unit is pull it off. It's on a Picatinny mount. It plugs in via USB. Mm-hmm. Just pull the thing right off, throw it in your bag if you don't need it. If you need it, right, you got it. So anyway, I really do like that. Hans mentioned the battery. I do want to bring that up just since we talked about the Pulsar battery. There's going to be guys say, well, what is the battery? It's a 6+ hour battery. It is, again, removable, rechargeable. We're saying 6+. That's what Infiray says is, it's a 6-hour battery. We've had good luck getting much longer than 6 hours out of some of them. So I would say it's going to be longer than that, but 6+ hours. Again, removable, rechargeable. They're about $169 for a replacement. So it's still a good deal. Yeah. And I got a lot of guys right now that are up north hunting with these in very cold temperatures. And I've asked a couple of them, like, hey, what do you think about the battery life? Like, man, it's awesome. So they're happy. I do think that the Pulsar definitely wins there. But I think that the RICO, again, with this removable LRF, that's a pretty good feature. And I'm going to tell you, image quality on this 3-power RICO is outstanding. Yeah. It is very, very good. Both these scopes hold their own and deserve to be in this category for sure. And one last thing, I guess we can't talk about iRay, or Infiray without mentioning a 5-year warranty. That's a big deal for a lot of people. So it's worth mentioning that.
You stole it right out from I was going to talk about that. They came onto the scene hot and heavy about a year ago, introduced their optics with a 5-year warranty. That when people are asking about scopes and they're asking about iRay, that is one of the first things that they bring up. And that's been able to allow them to grow in a short amount of time. When a manufacturer, especially puts a backing like that behind their optic, it means they believe in it. There's no doubt about it. 5 years is a good long warranty. It's not, it's not the longest in the industry. It's tied for the longest, but
I was gonna say, who's longer? Yeah, it's tied
for the longest with Envision, but Envision Optics being great. So let's get on to the categories, and then we'll pick winners.
Yeah, let's go through the categories. Hans, we're just going to go ahead and start these off, and we'll go through them as we go. I'm going to let you start. What do you think? This is tough. I don't know. It's easier when there's a whole bunch of scopes. We've got a lot of categories.
I think you and I are going to agree a lot this weekend because there's two choices. But
there is. But like best bang for the buck. I mean, is there a bang for the buck out of these two scopes? I mean, this is easier when you've got 5 or 6 scopes. But what do you think?
I do. I think I'm going to say my pick for best bang for the buck is going to be the Pulsar Trail 2 XP50 LRF, only because for $6,000 it does include the laser rangefinder that's integrated into the unit. It does have very good picture quality. It's got all the great features we talked about: video recording, audio. Pulsar has more reticle options than any other scope on the market. It's got more color palette options. I mean, you go on and on. The list goes on and on. I think because of the laser rangefinder being part of the $6,000 price, I think that it does make it the best bang for the buck.
Yep, I agree. I can't argue with that. I mean, everything you said about it, I think it is. I think even if you are a coyote hunter and you're like, man, I really want to make this scope work, you can. Mm-hmm. You can make it work. You're going to be shooting a lot at zoomed in at that 320 resolution, not 640, but the scope will do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, the scope is fully capable of doing that, and it's going to be extremely similar to using a 3.5 or 4 power 384 scope. So I mean, it's definitely a reasonable thing to do. You got the laser rangefinder, the batteries, all the things you mentioned. So yeah, I'll go with it. Mm-hmm. I think this is obvious. I think we've already given this away, the best scope for hog hunters. I don't think we even really have to talk about it. It's the Trail.
Trail, yeah.
The Trail is obviously, we've said, because of the magnification, all those things. Mm-hmm. Very, very logical. So I'm skipping that's easy. Coyote hunters, I think we already know what this is going to be. Tell them, Hans, in case they don't know.
Yeah, the iRay RICO MK1 640 3-power base magnification. That's where most coyote hunters want to start out at. That is when all the guys call you up there. I always say North Dakota and South Dakota. I'm gonna pick
those
some.
Guys get a lot of credit.
They do get a lot of credit. How about the guys in Idaho? When the guys from Idaho call and they want scopes, South Dakota, North Dakota, Idaho, big iRay USA MK1 fans up there because they call and all they want to talk about is the MK1. So that is the favorite for those guys. And them guys are some legit coyote hunters. So I'm going to listen to what they say. I'm going to say the MK1.
That's right. Okay. So drum roll. This is the hard part. It's the part that I don't like. It's having to choose one, and it's not fun even when there's two. I wish there was just one. Then it would already be known. We could just end the show. But your overall pick for the best thermal scope in the 6,000 and under, and we say under, basically going to be 5,000 to 6,000 because that's where the last cutoff was. This is going to be the scope that, if they're either both going to win an award or we're going to pick one here. I think we got to pick one. Hans, what do you pick? And I'll tell you if I agree or disagree. I don't like it.
You're going to hang me out there on a limb. Okay. So it feels really weird to pick a scope for overall winner that I don't also pick for the best bang for the buck. But I'm going to say the overall winner for me, my pick under $6,000 is going to be the Infiray RICO MK1. And I'll tell you why. It has to do with the warranty. It has to do with the fact that this scope, with the picture quality, the picture image. I know all of you have seen all of the videos out on the internet. A lot of people talking about how great it is. We've used them. We've tested them. We know they're fantastic units. That along with the fact that you're getting that higher base magnification. I think that 3-power makes it more. It opens having a 3-power base magnification scope opens up that optic to more possible hunters, because I know hog hunters down in the South that would hunt all day long with a 3-power scope. And of course, all the coyote hunters are people that are doing both, which is growing. A lot of people now say I hog and coyote hunt. So, 3-power is starting to be more popular than ever, than it ever has. And that has changed over time. But I'm going to say for those reasons, the fact you're getting increased base magnification, you're getting a fantastic picture quality, you're getting a 5-year warranty, rechargeable batteries, video and audio, all of that stuff. For $6,000, I do think it's the overall winner for under 6,000. What do you say? You can't disagree with me after all this.
I can't disagree with you. I can't. No, I mean, I could, again, like I've done most weeks, think we could go either way on it. But I do think that all the reasons you said, the option to add the laser rangefinder, if you need it, you got it. If you don't, the warranty, the image quality that is there. I do agree with you on 3-power. We, at this point, sell more 3-power scopes to hog hunters than anything else, simply because if y'all been listening, that $3,000 to $4,000 price range is just slam full of 3-power scopes. Right. And that was a magnification that didn't even exist 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, there was like no 3-powers hardly. Now there's a pile of them. Again, sometimes I feel like it's a little too much for me, but I totally understand how guys that are hunting hogs and coyotes, it gets you into the middle ground of being able to do both. And again, when you're hunting hogs, you don't have to walk up to within 25, 30 yards of them, just because I'm bad about doing that sometimes, getting too close. You don't have to do that. So I do. I think it's
like when you and I hunt together.
I think it is a good one.
Yeah, when you and I hunt together, you're walking forward, and I stop because I've got a 3-power scope most of the time. And you're just walking right on past. I'm like, where are you going? Like, I'm scooting up. I'm like, you're getting closer. So that exactly right. But no, congratulations to congratulations to both our contenders. Pulsar, which has a scope just about at the tops of almost every category. They won last week with their Thermion 2 XP50. Congratulations this week for best thermal scope under $6,000 with the Infiray RICO MK1 640. Two fantastic scopes. It's a toss-up, but there are people that call and say, man, if Pulsar would just make that in a 3 and a 3.5 power, it would be it'd change everything. So congratulations though to Infiray USA. First time in our in our contest, and they got a win under their belt. So congratulations to them. They're going to get a fancy trophy, and I'm sure that
there you go.
Maybe even hand delivered. I don't know.
Made. That's right. So listen, all right, folks. We hope you enjoyed that. That wraps that up. If you've got questions about any of these scopes or anything else in any of these categories that we've done, give Hans or I a call at Outdoor Legacy 877-350-1818. We're glad to talk to you about any of these scopes on the market in whatever price range you need. Maybe it's night vision. I talk to a lot of guys that are like, man, I want to go thermal, but just not going to happen. The wife's not going to let me go there right now, or the budget's not. Hey, I get it, man. No problem. We'll be glad to talk to you about that and give you our suggestions and help you with the purchase on any of these optics. So again, night vision, thermal, whatever categories, give us a call. 877-350-1818. I'm going to throw this out real quick before I let you tell your deer hunting story. Listen, feel free to email us if you've got simple questions. We're getting more emails than ever. And it's taken 2 or 3 of us just to try to keep up with the emails. The one thing I'd say is if you're serious, you're considering buying a scope, you want to buy the scope from us, but you don't know what to get, just give us a call. Because the email, if it's simple questions like, hey, what's the difference in these 2 scopes? Or, hey, what's the magnification here? Or, do you have this in stock or whatever? Those are easy. But so many times, guys are asking really good, detailed questions that they should be asking. And I sit down in front of my computer and I'm like, that's being novel. I mean, I could write a book. There's no way. And I end up, answering the question that's, hey, just give us a call. And so we talk about it on the phone. So anyway, feel free to email us with simple stuff. But if you really want to talk in depth, give us a call. And I think that's a big deal. My opinion is, even if you think like, I know this scope, my buddy's got it, this is the scope I want, I still think it's worth a call just to say, hey, am I missing something? Is there something else out there that maybe I should think about? Because Hans and I are glad to hear a little more about your situation, what you're doing, and just make sure you're going in the right direction. So that's my 2 cents on that, 877-350-1818. Hans, I want to hear your story about Bambi. I mean, I want to know Bambi's dad that you shot.
Bambi was the first deer I shot this year, the doe. And I just got her back from the processor, and they scraped up a couple scraps to make a couple deer sausages out of it. But yeah, Bambi
like
was
$500 worth of deer sausage. What you told me?
Man, all I'm thinking is they must have found meat from another deer and stuffed it into mine, because I'm wondering where $500 worth of meat is. Because I tell you, they called this talking about my first deer, y'all. They called and I said, okay, and I was like, how much cash do I need to bring? He said $467. I was like, for the doe that I shot, because I got it all done in German sausage. So that's I love it. I get it. I mean, it's my favorite thing. It's not the cheapest, but I do the whole doe in German sausage. And I think I called you and I was like, how did they get that much meat out of that little doe? And because when I dropped it off, I was like, if they get 30 or 40 pounds out of this thing, it's going to be just amazing. But apparently what they do with that is they mix. So obviously they're going to mix it with some pork to make the sausage, but it made 40 pounds, but you got to add 20 pounds of pork. So that made it 60 pounds. And
cheese and jalapenos.
Cheese, yeah, so it was a shock. So I changed my second order on my buck that I dropped off. I was like, I don't need this much meat or this much sausage on the next one. Just chop them up in hamburger meat and put them in little bags. So
tell us the story on this buck, because it actually, I mean, you worked for this.
I
deer.
did.
I'm going to give you that.
Every year I get suckered, and I made fun of daywalkers is what I called them. I called them daywalkers, and I was kind of poking fun of them because every year they want, I lose a lot of property access because of deer hunters, and I get sucked up every year here in the last few years. It's been more and more, but I get sucked up into the nostalgia and just the experience of chasing that one buck. Last year I had a buck that when I say picked out, but the one I wanted to shoot, which was a nice 10-point that was on one of our properties, had him on camera all the time. It didn't work out for me. I ended up shooting another nice buck, but didn't get the one I wanted. So this year, Jason was laughing at me because here I am, deer season's already started, like 2 weeks, and I'm out, 2 weeks after deer season started. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go shoot a deer. So I'm out buying feeders and stands and all this stuff. And Jason's like, like most people do this in August and September, get all this stuff set up. You're 2 weeks, you're 2 weeks into the deer season. You're just going to go pop up a deer feeder, and hope something comes in. and that's kind of how I live my life at times, but fly by the seat of my pants, and kind of what we do sometimes with the show when we're, taking our last minute creative breaks to come up with what we're going to talk about. But so yeah, I bought on my 2 weeks. I shot a doe, which around here is not difficult to do. You don't really have to do much work, but I put up a camera and I put up a little hanging feeder in a tree just to see at one of our properties that I knew had some activity, just to see what was on camera. Well, right away, I was getting pinged with pictures of a very nice, big 8-point buck with a very, very widespread. So I'll put up pictures of him here as I talk. But I fell in love with this deer from the first time I saw him. I mean, I saw him, or I had him in my scope. So when I was still trying to shoot a doe, I had this buck come out twice, and he was chasing these doe all over the place. And I never could get a clear shot out of him. I had him in my scope twice, but he was basically trotting by very quickly. Couldn't make a good shot on him. So he was like a ghost, kind of like he was on camera all day, every day. I mean, he wasn't nocturnal, which a lot of them do. Anytime
hang on, I'm going to interrupt the story. He was there every time you weren't there. Let's be clear. You were hunting, and he was there in the daylight, which is weird, but you would go and he wouldn't be there the next day. And I finally said, dude, is he smelling you? What are you doing? And he's every other day.
I made a lot of sit. I like to sit in the morning. Sitting in okay, in the evening's okay, but I just don't like messing with trying to do, gut a deer in the dark and track and all that stuff. So I like to hunt in the morning. Well, I would go out there in the morning. I'd get in the stand, and my stand that I set up was very primitive. It wasn't like a very big box stand. It was a blind, basically the camo cloth that you can buy. I put it around some trees, and I was 40 yards in the woods to where my bucket feeder was. So I was very, very close. I was right there in the action. You sat there and you could not move for 4 hours because you were going to spook something. But I'd get there early and nothing would show, or he wouldn't show up. And I'd go back again. He wouldn't show up. But I'd go and check my camera. And right after I left, he was there. He was there when I wasn't. So I knew two things. I knew that he bedded down close to that feeder. I knew he was in that area all the time because the amount of time he was on the camera. And I figured walking in, I was spooking him, because when I was walking in my stand, I had my monocular. There were deer laying down and bedded down in the woods all over the place. So I just thought every time I go in, he's just there. Well, this story's getting long and it's wrapping up, I promise.
It's getting long. It's getting really long.
Yeah, exactly. So I did see, to wrap up the story, I did see him running with a spike. And every time the spike was on camera, this big buck was on camera. I'd never seen the spike before in person, just on the camera. Well, last morning, December 3rd, I saw that spike on camera. Well, not on camera, but through my monocular at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was still dark. And I saw that spike and I was like, man, this is a good sign. He's there. There's a good chance that big buck is going to come. And a little bit after daylight, it was close to 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting there with the monocular, and out the corner of my eye in that monocular, that big buck just starts creeping forward. Now, he's not committed to going to the feeder, but he is dang close, and he was following that spike around. And lo and behold, it was my big 8-point buck, and I drew down on him out with my 6.5, my Diamondback Firearms 6.5 Creedmoor AR-10 and the Sightmark Wraith 4K Mini. That's what I was deer hunting with, and loved it. Absolutely loved it. Shot him. Didn't go 20. Well, he did go 20. He might have been 30 or 40. But he went, he got, I saw him the whole time, so he never got out of my line of sight, but went down pretty quickly. It was a good kill, one that I felt good about. Measured him up. We haven't scored him yet, hoping to get him back soon to score him, but had a 20-inch spread, which that's what
East Texas. That's a big spread.
The fact that that's what attracted me to him was that he was wide. One last story related to that. A buddy of mine texted me and said, that buck that you shot, was it on such and such property? And I said, yeah, it's family land, but yeah, that's where I shot him. He said, my buddy has a picture of him on camera 1.5 miles away as the crow flies.
Wow.
Sends me a picture, and it is my buck at his buddy's camera 1.5 miles away. And he said his buddy was just heartbroken that because they saw my picture on Instagram. That's how they knew I shot his buck. But I said, hey, his buck. I was like, that buck's been sleeping and living on our land. I mean, that's our buck.
Everybody thinks it's theirs.
Yeah, I mean, he lived all day, every day he was there. But yeah, so man, I'm super,
trust me. There's about 10 other guys between you and him who think that was their buck too.
This buck was pretty old. I mean, he was pretty old.
Yeah.
But man, beautiful buck. As soon as I get the Euro mount back, I'll be putting up pictures. But super thrilled to get him. I know that's gonna get me super pumped next year to do it again. But I tell you, there's nobody happier for for me shooting a buck than my wife, and bless her, because when I shoot that buck, that means she gets her husband and her kid's father back because and Jason
really
got an employee
you were gonna
back.
Say your boss.
Well, Jason,
I really thought
Jason
that you
kindly,
were going to say that me.
Jason kindly, I'm like, hey, I'm on a deer hunt this morning. You know, can you cover the phones? He's like, yeah, absolutely, man. Like, go. You were super supportive. Yeah, go shoot that buck. Go do it. You know, whatever. I felt bad about doing it, but not that bad. Not that bad.
Didn't feel bad.
But
I kept telling you to go because I thought, you know, he's going to go either way. I need him to kill this deer so he can get back to work.
Yeah,
you know, this is getting.
So I shot that buck and hunted pretty hard. There's a lot of people out there that hunt hard. I was super pumped to get that buck. So that is the buck story. I hope y'all like the pictures. I'll be like I said, put them up. I put them on Instagram too. But anyway, we're going to recap it again. If you want to find anything hog hunting, thermal related, coyote hunting, and now even deer hunting. And coming soon, we're probably going to be doing a show for all you preppers out there too. If you want to hear any more about any of those topics, you can stay tuned to this show, The Late Night Vision Show, and you can find all of our past episodes on thelatenightVisionShow.com. Please, if you have any questions about any of these optics and you're looking to buy, speak to me, speak to Jason. We're on the phone. I'm telling you, we are taking phone calls all day long. Talked to 30 people today, just today. 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacygear.com. You can find Jason hanging out on all the socials all day long when he's supposed to be on the phone over on Facebook
so not true.
and Instagram and on the Texas Hunting Forum, Texas Bow Hunters Forum, any forum you can think of, all the Facebook groups he's on. He's creeping on all those and stalking people. Not really. But also you can find him on, I already said Facebook and Instagram. You can find me on Instagram, Hans ETX. You can find me on YouTube at the same thing, HANS ETX. I've got a review / comparison video coming out soon. The AGM Taipans, the TM15, the TM19, TM25, so I can finally get those back to Jason, who says, where are my binoculars? You've had them for months. So we'll be getting those back soon. But thank y'all. We look forward to speaking to you soon.
Absolutely. And yeah, Hans is exaggerating, and anybody who has been on Facebook or Instagram and messaged me knows that he's exaggerating because I try to get on there once a day, but sometimes it's every other day, and be like, I had 5 guys send me messages yesterday that are like private messages asking me about scopes, and I feel horrible every time. Like, I'm so sorry. I've been too busy.
No, Jason.
Anyway,
Jason's no, he's actually legitimately doing work. He's talking to reps. But it's like, yeah, I just got a phone. I was on there for an hour and a half. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Trying to get you some inventory.
Talk to my wife for an hour and a half. What are you talking about?
All right, folks. Listen, we hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you, if you made it this long and you listened to Hans's big, long, drawn-out deer hunting story, then we know you're committed to the show. But I know, congratulations to him on that buck. It was a great buck, and he did hunt hard for him. So, listen, like I said, we know that it is Christmas time, and we hope that you and your family have a very, very wonderful Christmas. I hope you remember the reason for the season, and we are very thankful this time of year. We hope that you do get to spend some quality time with the family. Don't eat too much, and have a good time with those kids. And listen, we will be back next week. This will be the week between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Good Lord willing, we'll be here we'll have another good show. Hopefully going to be talking about the best high-end thermal rifle scopes on the market. We've still got more of the best of 2021 coming. Even after that show, I think we got another couple shows. So y'all stick to the Late Night Vision show, and we will keep bringing them to you. Between now and then, y'all stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes. All right.